So I'd like to talk a little bit about the ram drawing here. This idea came from the pig drawing that I did earlier, or I started earlier in this series. And again, the idea was, well, how do I make the drawing equivalent of a trophy head, but with, a game animal, an animal that is often hunted specifically for that. But I'm not a hunter and I don't have actual animal heads in my home, but how do I make a drawing that has a presence parallel to that of the trophy head? Obviously, drawings are hand wrought from inanimate, materials, and they're not taxidermied heads, so it lacks that, it lacks that particular type of grotesque nature. But how do I, if I'm trying to create a composition and a drawing that has some of those parallel visual characteristics, what does that look like? And the idea of initially of an animal with antlers came to mind. I thought, okay, well, I live in Southwest Ohio, white-tailed deer, you see their heads all over the place. But could I make a white-tailed deer drawing? I really kind of felt like maybe that was a little too obvious. Rams aren't, native to this area, and I had been trying to come up with the right image, the right animal, and I thought, the antlers, the horns, are beautiful forms, and I would love to, see if I could, capture the way that they turn in space and twist. And so I landed on the idea of like, okay, a ram's head would be great. My high school mascot is a ram, so I was already kind of familiar, at least, with seeing those images. So it has a little bit of that buried somewhere in there. But the idea, really came from like, well, a trophy head is the animal of something that was hunted. It was desired for that particular part of it itself by a hunter to display and show off their prowess as a hunter, or whatever that sort of signifies as an object within that, given recreation. So I think that what I find particularly grotesque about this is the gaze in this particular drawing comes directly out and engages the viewer. It's hard to tell whether it's a drawing of a living or a dead thing too, so that question comes to mind. It's not nearly playful in the same way as the pig drawing earlier in the series. So I feel like it took the idea of the animal head, took this sort of odd lateral step in an interesting way. And I feel, that this drawing in particular kind of works and says somewhat close to what I wanted to say with the idea of the animal head trophy.